State ascoltando il podcast E.I.T.H.R con D.K.A.L.
There's no soul more innocent, none more pure. God's favorite. It's D.K.A.L. and you're listening to the E.I.T.H.R podcast.
So, let's start with the E.I.T.H.R.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy D.K.A.L., host of the E.I.T.H.R podcast, brought to you here by the GNS Inc. headquarters here in beautiful Northern California. Go ahead and give a shout out to us on the Instagram or the Twitter account. The handles, both of them are the same. It's at E.I.T.H.R, the ether, the elephant in the room. Make sure you check out the company YouTube page. Also, go ahead and search for the GNS Inc. and you'll be able to find it right there on the YouTube page. And go ahead and give us a follow there and subscribe. Greatly appreciate that. Hope everybody had a good Memorial weekend. I know there was a lot of stuff going on within the country. At least nobody was bored with that. So that's kind of cool, right? Everyone was occupied. So I hope you guys, gained some good weight. Heard there was a New Kids on the Block concert, which I think is kind of worthless. But, if you're into that kind of thing, I hope you had fun at that concert. A bunch of senior citizens and old people watching on stage thinking you're having a good time. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I want to give a shout out to Marissa Bennett, a.k.a. Well, I'm not going to say that to her, but she has like this product called Thrive, and it's I've used it before, and I think I told you guys before, like this sleeping gel or whatever. You switch it around your mouth for like 20, 30 seconds or whatnot, and it's amazing. So I just wanted to give a plug to her website when you guys get a chance to go on it. It's Marissa, Marissa King 4, the number 4, Marissa King 4 .thrive, THRIVE123.com. Go ahead and check out the product she got over there. It's the stuff that they got. It's really good. So naturally, you guys hear me messing around with the music. I'm trying to get the background music set so that way it's not a bunch of dead air, and for whatever reason the volume is kind of just doing whatever it wants to do. So please bear with that. And I think we got it. Perfect. And I want to give a shout out also to Business Lounge for Successful Entrepreneurs on Facebook. That page is a page where I was happily accepted to join the group. It's like 11,000 people. A good mix of consumer and entrepreneur people who are, looking to drive their online e-commerce business. It's a great place to network for other entrepreneurs as well. So just want to give a shout out again to that page. It is Business Lounge for Successful Entrepreneurs. Send a request in there, and the admin should let you guys in if you actually end up being worthy enough for that. So today's episode of the podcast is going to be about mental health. I think more so than ever in today's world, mental health has become a hot commodity to talk about. It's become very important in today's society of knowing a person's well-being, their mental state of what's happening with at least for the past couple of weeks in the United States alone. But a question I got for you guys is simple. How do you decompress from a busy, hectic day? Like if you had a really good day or a really bad day in the workforce, how do you decompress that? How do you put up with whatever you had going on and kind of just let it go. Like for me, my way of decompressing is music. I would just love to just throw on some like old school R&B or like some smooth jazz or something like that, or I'll go ahead into the studio and kind of make an instrumental myself, and kind of just deal with it that way. But what are some ways that you guys deal with your day? Like, how do you do it? Do you go on walks? Do you go on bike rides? Do you guys like to read books? Do you write? Do you like do things in a journal? Like, what is it that you do to help kind of relax? I know some people, they change clothes, they put a glass of red wine in, and they kind of just zone out. But what is it that you guys do to kind of decompress and kind of just escape from the monotony of your day that you have going on? What do you guys make happen? The other thing I want to talk about is it's very important for you guys to get me time. Me time is very, very crucial. So, first hour, if you guys are able to, the first hour of your day, you should at least have about 30 minutes. I like to do about an hour, 60 minutes of just you. No, nothing. If you're a coffee drinker, get up, get your cup of Joe, however you like this, fix it, set it up, sit down someplace comfortable, relax, don't do anything, maybe no cell phone, maybe no social media, no laptop, no television. Just sit there with your thoughts and try to, control your mindset for the day. Control how you're going to think, control how you're going to conquer the day. This morning, what I did was I kind of just sat down and had these little incantations with myself, about how today was going to be better than it was yesterday. Because yesterday was kind of a doozy for me. I have these these anxiety attacks every now and then. Usually they come around the same time each month. It was like the third week of the month. But yesterday was really heavy. I had a lot of stuff going on with me. And I put up a post, and since that post has been taken down, and I had a conversation with some people, and the direction that I'm now looking at is a lot clearer than it was before. And sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do in order to get to where you want to be, even if that means taking a few steps backwards in order for you to be able to maintain forward. So be it, and I think that's what happened with me yesterday. So I'm personally going to be taking a break from the social media thing. They did some research and said that if a person takes at least about a week off of social media, your mind, the clarity, you just feel less stressed out, less angst, less just discombobulated, less gerbil, more focus. And I know a lot of people use social media for their ways of communicating with other people and keeping in contact. Some of us use it, because it's our stress reliever. It's how we cope with it. Like I said earlier, how do you kind of decompress? Other people use social media. But for those of you who find yourself using social media as an escape, then this may not be for you. But those who find yourselves getting really stressed out and anxious over certain topics or discussions or comments or replies or posts, maybe you just need to get away from the platform as a whole and just get some fresh air. Just go outside, and go for a walk, go for a bike ride, get on a skateboard, get some rollerblades, do something, interact with human beings. Maybe your family that you haven't probably seen in a while because your face is in your damn phone. Talk to them, the people that you live with, whatever the case may possibly be. But mental, like I said, it's a me time. Like I said, the first thing in the morning, let that be the start of your day. I personally went on this search for non-biased media outlets. And I found 4 of them. Everything else, for the most part, tends to be politically swayed either to the right or to the left, whether it's more to the left or more to the right, extreme left, extreme right, influenced by the left, influenced by the right. So I try to find something that's a little bit neither, that's more as down the middle as you possibly can. And a lot of people don't like news like that because it doesn't tell you which side for you to be on. And I think that's a good place to be, because then you get to choose from a non-influenced media outlet on what's going on in the world. Because let's face it, between CNN, between Fox News, MSNBC, some of the other outlets, you want to get one perspective. And what I used to do was check out Fox News outlets, and then I would go to CNN outlets, and kind of try to find where the truth was in the middle. And usually after you read one side's article, your brain is so frustrated because it's blatantly laced with just one side of whatever it is that you almost don't even give the other side a great opportunity. And that has a lot to do with some mental health as well, because you can say that, this side is being too one way or the other. And when you try to get into conversation with people, they're extremely opposite side, where they don't even want to have conversations. They just want you to hear what they have to say. Then it turns into I'm right, you're wrong match on social media. Again, the internet is a beautiful tool, and a lot of us use it to argue with strangers who we've never met, who we would never see, and who probably don't even look like the pictures that they post up. And half the time they're putting up the shit they're doing just to piss somebody off. So don't let them score any points. So that's why the first thing in the morning you should do is not get on any type of social media. And like I said, for non-biased news outlets, I found 4 of them. One was the AP, Associated Press. I downloaded that app. The other was the Wall Street Journal, which I used to read that on a regular basis back in the day. And when I did the Google search, it said the AP was more left center. If anything, Wall Street Journal was more right center, slightly, for both of them. So I downloaded that one. And then you have, goodness, what was the third one? I can't remember the third one, but then it was BBC. That one is a non-biased as well. And a lot of it is strictly down the middle. So you're going to get no sway towards either one of them whatsoever. And it has a lot to do with world news. So it's not just biased what's going on in our particular country, but kind of what's going on with the rest of the world, which I think is a beautiful thing, because you also get to see what the rest of the world sees you as versus how we see ourselves in the picture that we paint ourselves, which obviously might not be as accurate. And I think that has a lot to do with the mental wellness as well, because you're not being gassed up with bullshit. You're actually being fueled with more non-biased, non-political, 100% down the middle. And you see everything from a, what's the word I'm looking for? From just equal. So, there's no influence with that. So that's really good. But the importance of mental health, man, it's some of these things that we do to ourselves is extremely not healthy. It's just not healthy. We give too many people the keys to the vehicle that drives our mind, and then they treat it like a crash dummy. Good friend Rita, Miss Watkins. Hi, Rita Watkins. She basically was telling me, you take all the things that really aren't, the people who really aren't doing anything to be productive or affect you in a positive way. I think, and you take them and you put them on your back burner, right? She called them your back burner bitches. You take your back burner bitches, the people who aren't trying to do anything productive, the people who aren't trying to do anything that even remotely is helping themselves, but they want you to do for them. Okay, set those folks aside, and anyone who's coming to you to want to do something productive, those are the people you want to rock with. But if you come to them, you can't want it more than they want it for themselves. And I think one of my biggest issues is I have a lot of ideas, a lot of creative ideas, a lot of ideas that's outside the box. And what I try to do is I see my friends who are going through issues and hardships and struggles or whatever, with their family or with their business or whatever the case may possibly be. And, some of these things that I am trying to suggest or implement or put out there, literally they have worked. I've seen it work because I've tried it and it's worked with people who thought it wasn't going to work. They tried it. It worked. So I'm like, yo, let's have fun with this idea, right? And so I would take some of these ideas and I would go to people who I feel would be great to do it, great at it if they tried it, who I'm like, yo, we can have a really good time if we, kind of just team up and do this. And none of them bite. None of them even remotely have the energy anymore because they're so mentally drained from all the things that just leech off of them. And they're driving vehicles that get poor gas mileage with flat tires and shit and shoddy engines. That they just don't have the strength to want to do anything even remotely creative because they feel like they got to put more work in that they don't really see have an outcome. And so I would spend a lot of my wheels trying to create these different things to do that. And part of my mental illness was folks who just didn't see the vision that I had. Yet I'm sitting here trying to sell it to them when they really ain't got they're not even trying to buy it. And I would make myself feel discouraged. I would make myself feel as if I'm letting people down because I'm bringing them to water and they're not drinking it. Well, maybe if I just take them to a different part of the river, right? Maybe if I take them to a current that's less aggressive. Maybe if I take them to a spot where it's less rocky. Maybe if I take them to a spot where it's more shade, they'll drink. They don't want any water, bro. They don't want the water that you're bringing up. In actuality, they're not even as thirsty as they claim they are. They're just tired. Yet they're complaining about how they have nothing to drink, but they don't want anything to drink. It's because they're not ready to drink from the river that you brought them to. They rather find their own way, somehow, some way, or they rather be in the environment that's causing them to be dehydrated because that's the environment that they're just used to. They're accustomed to complaining. They're not accustomed to solutions. So my problem was I have what I feel is solutions to the problem that I have seen work in the past for a multitude of different people. Yet people are choosing not to even entertain the ideas because they just don't have the strength anymore to do anything. They're just lackadaisical, kind of just walking around, not necessarily defeated, but they're just walking around like, I don't know, like they're just waiting for something to fall into their lap and be like, okay, cool, like a switch to be turned on or something. And I'm kind of like, that's not what it is. So I was discouraging myself for trying to sell something to people who didn't even want to try to afford it. And it wasn't time for them to receive it. It just wasn't time for them. So, with that said, okay, cool. It is what it is. But then yesterday, with everything I got going on, like everybody else, certain things are just falling by the wayside and things are not lining up the way it is. And certain things are popping up out of nowhere and certain things are coming up that needs to be paid and different ideas that I'm trying to, to grow and to help other people. It just, there were some things I was trying to do and it all fell. It just collapsed on me. Like domino effect, bro. Like it just didn't go the way I wanted it to go. And yesterday was an extremely emotional day for me. And anyone who knows me knows I hide my emotions very, very well. Anyone who knows about me hiding my emotions, you understand when it comes to emotions, I'm not going to tell you shit. Like you're not going to know anything unless I want you to know. And even if you are right there from jump and you can see something's wrong with me, I will hide that and walk the fuck away and keep you at a distance and not let you in and hide the key from even myself so I'm not able to tell you where it's at for you to get in. But yesterday was a really emotional day for me. It was a very emotional day for me. And so, yesterday I had made a decision of what I was going to do. And as I'm planning everything out, an accident happened about 200 feet in front of me. And I swore there was a fatality. I swore somebody had died. And it was at that very moment when I thought somebody had died in this accident, I was like, okay, there's your sign right there. Your life isn't as bad as you think it may be. Your life is a lot easier. You're gonna be fine because somebody right now, somebody didn't make it. Come to find out during that accident, that the accident was so bad on the vehicle that the people, it laid into the horn. So there was no fatality, which is good. But it gave me a completely different perspective of what life is and how to approach it and how to deal with it and how to address it. And so I said to myself, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go home and we're not going to do that plan that we had. Instead, we're going to address it and we're going to just come up with a different plan. And sometimes when life, man, when things don't go your way, a lot of folks want to, I don't say throw in the towel, even though in some cases a lot of people feel that's the best thing to do for them, unfortunately. But sometimes you really just need to regroup. You just need to sit down and literally write out your plan. Like, what is it that you're trying to do? Write it out. List it. A vision board, some people would call it. But I would say not even so much of a vision board, but more of a kind of like a diary type of thing, maybe. And so you kind of just organize. And maybe you just need to reorganize. And if you've never been organized, then time is to organize and see what it is that you want to do. Now, some plans are easy to achieve than others. But if you write it out and give yourself like a checklist of what to do, you'll find out how you were just unorganized and needed a better direction and instruction on how to accomplish what it was that you had on your plate. And an elephant an elephant isn't ate in one bite. You can't eat an elephant in one bite. But if you break it off in pieces, bit by bit, you can take that elephant down and then you can eat the whole thing eventually. It's just going to take a little bit more time than what most people think. And the beauty about it is, and I have to learn this with myself as well, and I have to constantly remind myself this, There is no time limit for whatever it is that you're trying to do. Listen, if you have a goal that you want to achieve, I would always say this to people: compete but never compare. You can compete with your buddies and your friends about what goals you're trying to achieve, but you never want to compare yourself to them. The reason being, your resources, their resources may not be the same, right? You might not know the same people. You might not be in the same situation. You might not be in the same environment as them. So to compare yourself is one of the worst things you can do, because everybody is different. So it's hell, man. It might take one person 1 year to achieve their goal or their business. It might take the next person 14 months. And all because it took you 2 months longer than the other person doesn't mean that you are a failure. It just means that you had obstacles to overcome that the other person didn't have to worry about. And that's the beauty about it. The other person, because they finished faster than you, doesn't necessarily mean that they're better than you. They just haven't faced the same obstacles you had to go through. So it's very, very crucial to understand, know your role and know your path. Compete, but don't compare. That is so damn crucial. And myself, man, I'm just as guilty, right? Doctors always make the worst patients. And anybody out there who's a therapist, other therapists are the worst people to have on your couch, because they have all the answers to their problems, yet they are the worst ones. If you ever look into their lives tend to be more fucked up than yours. Internally, on the surface, it's exactly what you want. But when you dig deep into it, most of the people that we look up to, they don't always follow their own advice. But those who do follow their own advice, you can kind of tell, because it makes it easier for them to relate with you. So I just want to make sure that, mental wellness, man, that's I can't express it. You can't put a price on a peace of mind. You just can't, and there's no feeling, like I said, when you wake up in the morning and you just have that time to yourself, that 30 minutes you give yourself, or that hour you give yourself. Yes, I understand you might have to wake up 30 minutes earlier than you want to, and we all love our sleep. I understand that. But if you don't take that extra 30 minutes of just you, your body is going to take that extra day where you can't do anything. And it's never going to come at the time when you want it to. It's always going to come at the worst possible time. And whether you pay for it now or pay for it later is going to be a little bit worse. Because like I said, that's when things are going to be due. And you need to really get on your grind. But because mentally you're just exhausted, you're just worn out, it's not going to work for you. So make sure you guys take care of yourselves. Make sure you take care of your mental. Make sure you take care of your physical. While you're asleep, make sure you're getting the rest. Going back to the decompression thing, what I like to do is when I play my music, my imagination is very vivid. So I like to imagine certain things that I want to have in my life. So if I want to travel a lot, what I'll do is I'll envision myself, at a country that I want to be at, or in a situation that I want to be at, in an environment that I want to be in, and I can see the conversations, and I can hear the people, and I can smell the food, and, I can vividly see it in my mind's eye. And I kind of just let my imagination run with that. And that usually helps me go to sleep. And it helps me calm, because it's one of those things where I'm at a peaceful place. Nothing can bother me, not even the stresses that's going on outside of my imagination. And that allows me to do it. Another thing for me, and I learned this about myself about 12 years ago, because of my imagination. One thing that helps me get through the day is acting. I got a buddy named Brian, who I've known for some time, about maybe 10 years. And he was a security guard at a bar next to the bar I worked at on J Street in Sacramento. And my man, unfortunately, had a really cut short WWF. I believe it was WWF. It's before they dropped the F. Maybe WWE. Same company. But he had a really brief career with them. And it's one of those things where you just have to. I really lost track of what the hell I brought Brian's name for. That's crazy. I was talking about something, and I brought my name Brian up, and I don't remember what the hell I was talking about with Brian. That's wild. Anyway, it happens when you get to this age. Damn. That's really embarrassing. I was bringing him up for something, too. Oh, well. I'm sure I hear this playback, and I'll remember it. But anyway, when it comes down to, making sure that still can't remember what I was bringing up Brian's name for. Anyway, damn it. I was hoping I was going to remember that during that break. But, oh well, like I said, I'll remember when I get into it, or I won't. Who cares? Anyway, here's really what I want to talk about this evening. Is right here. This is kind of the topic I want to talk about. You guys ready? Here we go. That's pretty dope, right? Yes. So I just got a new sound effect, so that way whenever there's an elephant in the room topic we're talking about, you're going to hear that sound from now on. So there we go. Gun control. Yeah. Because I know everybody was talking about this topic, and I'm sure everybody was trying to escape this topic, but guess what? Here the fuck we are. Over Memorial Day weekend, there was a bunch of mass shootings for whatever reason. I can't remember if the article that I read said it was 14 dead or 14 shootings. Either way too TF much. People, listen. We are giving the U.S. government reasons to do stupid shit. We're giving them ammunition. Bad pun, I get it. But we're giving them reasons to do things. Right? There was an article from I believe the convention they had in Houston, Texas, where basically what they want to do is they want to give teachers guns and put armed security at schools and make one way in, one way out entrances at elementaries and high schools. That's what they want to do. Senator Ted Cruz made the point, how you stop armed bad guys is you arm good guys. Listen, it's been a minute since I've been out of school, but I really don't think it's a good idea to give your teacher a pistol. There was a video that I saw of people in church in Texas, and somebody was trying to rob the church. And the gentleman who was robbing the church had shot someone with the collection plate. I can't remember if it was the priest or not. And someone shot the robber. And I think it was like, who has guns in church? Like, for real? In the name of Jesus, bring your 45? Like, it's a praise the Lord and pass the ammunition, right? Okay, cool. So that's where we're going. Listen, I am for having the right to bear arms. I am. Okay. I am not a gun owner. Up until this point in my life, I didn't want to have any guns. But I plan on getting one eventually. So I'm not against people having them. I'm against idiots having them. Now, here's the tricky part, because a lot of terms get used loosely, ladies and gentlemen. It gets used loosely. When we talk about the good guy should have the guns and the bad guy shouldn't. Who determines who's the good guy and who's the bad? That's when you get into the tricky part. One thing I have learned in my time on this planet is when you're dealing with politics, a lot of terms can get used loosely, or they can blanket to mean something completely the fuck different. So when they say good guys, bad guys, who is who? Because depending on where you live and depending on who you're talking about, those roles actually might be reversed. Some people have different definitions based on their experiences. So we got to be cautious about that. When we talk about teachers with guns, again, you got teachers making $800 a year teaching kids with mental disabilities, emotional instability, and broken homes. And you're going to give these teachers a pistol with some of these badass kids they got in school. I don't think that's a good idea, Chief. I think that's the recipe for disaster. Because now you're putting the teacher in a situation where they're risking their life, and it's something that they didn't go get teacher credentials so they can shoot a 22. That's not what they became a teacher for. If that was the case, they can just get a job at a gun range if they want to shoot something, right? I feel, think, and believe that the background check idea is cute, but that's iffy. The reason being, how many people you know with mental illnesses have criminal backgrounds? Not many of them. Not many of them. There's so many loopholes to the loopholes about what the government wants to do, but they kind of want to keep it a blanket and a bracket so that way, in my opinion, they can have all these loopholes and surprises within the laws of each state. And I think that's extremely dangerous. I think when you take someone's right to bear arms and you alter it, whose protection is it for? It honestly, truly, really. I feel when laws need to be altered, they're not trying to take anything away from you. They're trying to make the people safe. The problem is the people who are making these rules, what's their definition of safe? That's tricky. And that's kind of where I come into play, where, listen, man, we as a society, we need to somehow, some way determine what we want our streets to look like, what we want our neighborhoods to be. We need to demonstrate that. We are the ones who need to put into a neighborhood guideline, if you will, of what happens when things like this happens in our neighborhoods. You see what I'm saying? That at least that's my opinion. I think I mentioned this in the podcast previous, where you have people who are, of mixed ages and mixed groups of mixed races, and you kind of create this committee, and the neighborhood agrees upon who's in it, and everyone kind of just follows that hierarchy. Listen, anybody can buy a gun in certain states, but not everyone deserves to have one. And I think what happens is when you get situations with these mass shootings, the people who are making the loudest noise about keeping my gun, they have been the most quiet about what's going on with these automatic weapons in these cities of schools and grocery stores. Nothing public has been said. Okay, and I think that needs to change. I think if you want to make sure that the gun rights stay the way they are, we as the people, we need to monitor ourselves. I said this before in other podcast episodes, man. The U.S. government's job isn't to create, it's to regulate. It's to regulate. They take what we create and then they go ahead and do whatever they do with it. It's up to us to make sure that our neighborhood stays the same if we want it to be that way. So I think some of these NRA people, these pro-gun people, I know a few of them. A suggestion that I give is this. Why don't you come up with some type of a course, whether it be YouTube or a class, and give gun education in your neighborhood? I think that would be a dope ass idea. Because now you're taking the initiative to make sure your neighborhood stays safe for you and yours. But if we sit back and say to the government, we need change, we all know what the change that the government is going to provide is the change that none of us is going to agree on. So why don't we kind of create our own little Congress and do it for ourselves? They already think of us as being a bunch of wild children who are incompetent and can't function without them anyway. So the best way to prove the government wrong is to prove the government wrong. That's kind of what you do right there. Same thing with other issues we have in our communities. We need to be the solutions to these problems. Personally, that's just what I think. That's how I see it. That's how I feel. That's me. I think also with that, most parents, if you do happen to see your child or children torturing kittens and drowning fish and hanging birds by nooses, you might want to think about letting that child go to the gun range unsupervised. You might just want to say, you know what, I want to learn how to fire a gun too, son. Let's go learn this together. And you get to keep an eye on your child because you know what your child is doing, even if you choose to ignore it. You can't ignore certain habits. And what happened at the Texas mass shooting, if it's true that my man's had videos of torturing animals when he was younger, I don't know how bright of a red flag you needed to see, but that should have been obvious right there. But I think community-wise, why not? All you pro-pistol motherfuckers, why don't you come up with your own committee and teach everybody? It's because a lot of the people who happen to be pro-gun, in my opinion, from my observation, are also the same people who are quick to judge a certain group that looks different than them when it comes to dealing with law enforcement or dealing with gun management themselves. So you can be the solution to everybody by having a course open to the community, not just those who look like you. I don't care if you charge something for it. Fine. If you want to do it free as a service, fine. Whatever the case may possibly be. But be the solution. Stop waiting for the government to fix it. Because the more they fix, the more broke it actually becomes. I think that would be a great thing for people to do that, man. I just can't really get over that. I don't know, right? I think when it comes to issues with law, anybody who studies law, again, there's no obligation to do this, and you went to school and you got your own practice, and Lord knows I understand the time and effort, but wouldn't it be kind of cool if people in the community kind of taught each other about what basic laws were for as renting or owning a home, or just city ordinances or neighborhoods, certain things, just certain everyday things that we probably overlook. Because I remember growing up, whenever you would ask a police officer something about, they would explain it to you. Nowadays, it seems as if they don't want you to know because they rather you fuck up and they catch you. As much as they want you to know the law, as much as they say that you should know the law, there's a good number of them out there who don't want to tell you anything about the law. Because if you know the law, you won't break it. And their job is to arrest people who break it. So maybe we need to come together again as a community and educate each other, kind of like what the Black Panthers used to do. Educate one another on laws, especially within your community. I think that'd be kind of cool. I think that might be a little bit dope. Yeah, that's one thing. I got one more thing I want to talk about. Hold on for one quick second.
CEO of Feral Development Group, and you're listening to the E.I.T.H.R podcast, hosted by D-Cal. Let's get it.
The other thing I want to bring up is, oh man, customer service. Listen, I know you got through talking about this whole thing about being the change that you want to see in your neighborhood and all this other fun stuff, and I sincerely mean this. Customer service, we got to get better on this shit. We just do. We have to do better when it comes to dealing in the retail world, when you're dealing with people, man. A lot of companies, I've realized, when they're dealing with customers, it's kind of like I said in the previous thing. The more you know, the more most businesses, it seems, they hate it because they almost can't get over on you. Like if you go to a store and you go to a store and you're looking for a product or a service, or you're looking for a product and it's out of stock. The cashier or whoever the hell is helping you, they shouldn't feel as if you're annoying them by you asking them if there's any more of what's not here in backstock. Growing up doing retail, if you came to this to buy like a Copeland Sports, when Copeland Sports was around, and a person would come and say, hey man, I didn't see this on the floor. Do you have this in the back? I'm looking for a size 11, right? It was no problem to say, oh, let me go to the back and see if we have a size 11. You know, or, okay, we don't have a size 11. Was there anything else that you wanted me to check for you while I'm back there? Another shoe, right? It's kind of simple. Nowadays, whenever you ask a person a question regarding customer service, my mans, you really come off as if I'm annoying you by asking you to go see in your back stock if you have something in stock. It's insulting, really, when it comes to, like, you call this customer service. And a lot of managers are really piss poor at recognizing customer service. I think it's because everyone is so afraid of the public ridicule of talking to someone a certain type of way, that everybody getting offended at something. I think the trend right now is who's offended. Like, let's do that. Let's see who can be the most offended over some bullshit, right? I don't like walking into a store and the first thing I see is nobody. Because I remember in customer service, when you walk into a store, there's at least an associate at the register, whether you are dusting, cleaning, reorganizing, resetting, or just standing there as a greeter. Sometimes you walk into a store, you don't see anybody for a couple of minutes, and then somebody will walk past you. They may make eye contact with you, they may not make eye contact with you, but they keep walking. I get inside, I get a little bit pissed off at that, because I'm like, you could at least acknowledge, hey, we'll be with you in just one moment, right? Hey, give us a quick second, boss. Just hold up. Just give us one moment. We get you. You don't even get that anymore when you walk into a shop, right? And then they look at you like, you gonna tell me what you want? It's very, very rare do you ever get somebody who gives you like great customer service, at least how it was growing up, right? Again, if there's multiple people inside the store, it's no thing for me to help you and then tell this person over here, hey, you know what? Hey, we'll be with you guys in just one quick second, man. Appreciate you guys waiting. Thanks for being patient. Something. Now, it's almost like I only have tunnel vision for the one person that I see. that's it. It's one of those things where it's like, damn, so it's, I don't know. We got to do better with customer service, especially in the retail. We just got to do better. We've got to do significantly better. And so I hope that when you guys go out to customer service and you receive some shitty service, I hope you don't go off on them. But I think maybe somehow, some way, man, we need to recoach these people. I know that I've always been talking about doing a video of some sort of training for customer service, and I'm going to do that later on down the line. But we really need to go ahead and act on that, because it's really awful, Oh, that's what it was about Brian. I know he's going to remember hella randomly. So we were talking about the mindset, and the mindset of him, becoming a wrestler, and then my man decided to become a police officer. Things kind of didn't work out with that, but it's just the mindset of him not giving up on what it was that he wanted to do, to pursue what it was he wanted, his career, and to just achieve. Sometimes things don't go the way you wanted to. So I believe that was a connection that I was making. I promise you I'm not high. I'm not drinking anything but orange soda. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here with a podcast. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram or Twitter at the E.I.T.H.R, E.I.T.H.R, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. All right. I'm E.I.T.H.R. Yo.